Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another week of Trauma Recovery University. I'm your host, Athena Moberg, and your incredible co-host, Bobby Parrish, is in the green room right now and on the Twitter stream with you. Yes, this is weekly live Q&A for adult survivors of child abuse, more specifically childhood sexual abuse. We love showing up here every single week and tweeting with you, answering your questions, and just hanging out with you, the adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse. A lot of the content we do discuss could definitely help any survivor of any type of child abuse, which is why we love to just welcome you if you're a child abuse survivor, anything childhood trauma related. This content is definitely going to help you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. This is weekly live Q&A. Please tweet your questions to hashtag no more shame. And this week every single week, if you're not familiar with our broadcast, we have one topic every single week, and we have 3 weekly Twitter chats, this being the second of 3, and it also has this live video feed, which you are finding here on our YouTube channel. If you are finding this broadcast, this video anywhere but on our Roku TV channel or our YouTube channel, please find us over on Roku TV by searching for Trauma Recovery University, or you can also find us on YouTube on our YouTube channel by searching for Trauma Recovery University or Trauma Recovery University TV. So my business partner and esteemed colleague, Bobby Parrish, and I, we sort of started this whole thing off with one of our other colleagues. Our other colleague actually started a Twitter chat a couple of years ago called Sex Abuse Chat every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific. I very shortly after joined Bobby and Rachel and began volunteering and showing up, and then very shortly after that, this channel was birthed. So this is the very first time that I'm able to say this live on the air, and I want to say this really quickly, and that is thank you. We are officially over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and our Roku TV channel is growing as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all of you guys who are amazing. 1,000 subscribers is incredible, and we're officially in 58 countries according to our YouTube analytics. So
yeah, I think it's at 1,031. I just checked before we went on the air.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I mean,
that's
anyway,
amazing.
It's amazing, and Bobby and myself are humbled by you guys and just how awesome you are. Thank you for all of your emails, your comments below these videos, your 5-star reviews on Roku TV, just everything, all the thumbs up on the videos that you give us, all of it. We're just humbled and we're grateful. So thank you for all of that. This week's topic, without further ado, I'll hand this over to Bobby. This week's topic is inner child work in recovery from child abuse. So this is quite the buzzword and sort of a controversial topic. A lot of people like to poo-poo on the whole inner child thing. I think that the whole concept of inner child work got a bad rap like in the 80s and 90s, or maybe it was in the 90s and not the 80s. I'm not sure. I think it was like in the early 90s. In the early 90s, sort of inner child was sort of the buzzword. And there were even artists that wrote songs about how ridiculous it is to refer to anything as inner child. And they mocked it and they made fun of it. And it's just sort of snowballed since then. And it still sort of has a bad rap, and it doesn't get the proper nod that it deserves in the healing and the depth of healing that can happen in trauma recovery, specifically recovery in childhood trauma. So we would like to dispel all of these just ridiculous rumors and mockery that's been going on for the last 20 years. And we would like to shed a little bit of intelligent and compassionate light on the inner child work that does go on in childhood in trauma recovery from childhood trauma. So I'm going to pass this over to my amazing colleague, Bobby Parrish. And we'll go ahead and dive into some content really, really quickly. And I'll take the Twitter stream off your hands now. Bobby, take it away.
Okay. I so appreciate our audience. They were telling jokes while we were waiting to work the gremlins out of our technical
Oh my
aspects of our
gosh.
show tonight.
Our weekly gremlins. Weekly gremlins, you're not welcome anymore.
I am so glad to be here tonight. I'm so glad that all of you are here tonight, whether you're watching us on the live broadcast or you're watching a replay or listening to a replay on a podcast. Again, I just can only echo what Athena has said, that we are so honored to be here and to share with you and hopefully make your recovery a little bit easier. I do want to issue a trigger warning. We will be talking tonight about childhood abuse and sometimes specifically childhood sexual abuse. So if you feel triggered, just go ahead and shut the broadcast down if you're watching live. It'll go up on YouTube very shortly after our broadcast. Or if you're listening or watching a replay, just go ahead and shut it down and come back to it later. We don't want you to feel badly while watching these videos or listening to the podcast. That is the exact opposite of what we want. So please don't hesitate to shut it down. And if it's so triggering, shut it down and don't come back to it until you're a little further on in your recovery. That's okay too. If you are in crisis right now, we would urge you to reach out to our friends at RAIN, that is the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. They have a toll-free number for those in Canada and the US, and that is at 1-800-656-HOPE. HOPE. They also have a crisis chat feature on their website that's available 24/7, and that is RAIN, RAINN.org. If you're in the UK, you can reach out to the Samaritans. Their website is samaritans.org. They also have a toll-free number in the UK, and that number is 116-123. If you'd like to access help via email from the Samaritans, you can do so at joe@samaritans.org, Joe, J-O. If you are in Australia, and welcome to our growing Australia audience, and you are in crisis and need help immediately, the national hotline there is 131114. And please don't hesitate to reach out when you're in crisis. Receiving support and acknowledgement and validation is so healing, and you deserve it. You don't deserve to suffer in silence. So I really want to encourage you to reach out if you're in crisis or need help urgently. I would also like to remind everyone that starting next Wednesday, so I believe the first date then would be Wednesday, April 6th. Athena and I are working with Reveal to Heal, and that's the Twitter handle is reveal_heal. They are a survivor support agency, and we will be working with them to sponsor a 4-week chat in April, Wednesday evenings from 8 to 9 Eastern. So that would be from 5 to 6 Pacific time. And the hashtag is Survivor Steps. And the reason we're doing this is to honor April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And we'll be doing a 4-series chat on those Wednesday evenings, specifically about the steps that you can take to heal from sexual assault when you were a child. So please join us. Athena and I are so excited to collaborate with Reveal to Heal, and we invite you to join us again every Wednesday in April from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and the hashtag is Survivor Steps. We'll tweet you some more about it as it gets closer too. So we also want to let you know that we have started a new co-ed support group and Facebook. If you are interested in joining that, we're going to talk later on the broadcast about how to join one of our Facebook support groups. But primarily what you need to do is friend us, and then after we have accepted your friend request, send us a message. Okay, so we're getting so many people who want to join. We're expanding, we're starting new groups, and right now we're focusing on starting up another co-ed group. That's not the best for everybody. You know, some people want to heal with just men or just women, and that's fine. But for those who would like to join a co-ed group, jump right up and let us know, because we're moving into that pretty quickly. So again, welcome to everyone tonight. I think already I saw on the Twitter stream Jack and Laura and Maggie, and let's see, who else is here? Sarah, and
we have Phoenix, Inundated Insights.
There you go.
We have Dominique. We have Simi. I'm forgetting people. Oh, we have Matt, who's on a different handle tonight because he got hacked. Matt, hackers suck. We get hacked whenever we try to do a live event. We get hacked, it seems like. So next year, I'm going to have a different server or some sort of like other stuff in place when we do our second annual narcissistic abuse virtual summit, because that was so frustrating. We had all these people, we had hundreds and hundreds of people in all these different countries wanting to watch live. And then we ended up having to go on like 30 minutes late because we had to move everything. And it was horrible, horrible. So we have August, Bird Rogue, Kalisha. We have hi Laura, Rar, it's Laura. I'm hoping that you're feeling a little bit more pain-free today. Laura is our dear, dear friend, one of our friends who loves to ride horses, and she had a little bit of a mishap with her horse Ronnie this weekend. So we're thinking of you, Laura, and we love you. This topic, you guys, like I was saying in the intro, I actually had a colleague of mine, an entrepreneur colleague. He's not necessarily with any colleague that I have in the mental health field. More of a colleague that I have met in the entrepreneurial space, and someone I really considered like a friend. And the moment, I mean, this is like a friend, like someone that you really consider a friend. Like we met in person, we met weekly, virtually for like a year. And I mentioned inner child work one time, and I've never heard from him again. Like it was the rolling of the eyes. It was the, and that's it. Never heard from him again. And so that is just a snippet of what actually goes on in the minds of the greater population. I mean, I'm not a super special snowflake. It's nothing special about the way I said inner child work. This particular person happened to ask me a question about blocks that they had regarding a certain aspect of their entrepreneurial business. And when I asked 3 questions about relationships that they had had in their childhood with their parents and the people that mentored them, and the responses came back, I said, have you ever thought about doing any inner child work? Sometimes when our inner child was shamed and squashed and our spirit was sort of crushed and we were told that we were never going to amount to anything, and we were sort of shoved into this little like, you'll never amount to anything besides this. You definitely can't succeed if you do that. A lot of times we'll get some blocks. I mean, those are emotional wounds that don't heal themselves without being intentional. So when I posed the question, have you considered doing some inner child work or maybe focusing on what happened in your childhood? It was like, and we're done. And that's it. Never heard from him again, ever. So it's like, I felt ashamed at first, you guys. Like I really felt ashamed. Like, gosh, was I that far off the mark? Like normally I kind of know a little bit of what I'm talking about. You know, I've been doing this for a while now. So I honestly thought it was my fault. Of course I thought it was my fault, because that's what we do as survivors. We take responsibility. We are responsibility takers. That is what we do. So Bobby, what is just briefly before we hop into content, because this is I usually come to the broadcast with something practical that has happened in my life on my journey, and I throw it out there for everyone to just sort of comment on, but I want to hear what you have to say about what happened in that exchange that I had with this particular colleague of mine, because the general consensus this morning during chat was, sounds like someone who might need to do some inner child work, but that's a judgment that I have probably. And I would love to hear your take on that, considering that you've been a therapist for so many years and now you're a trauma recovery coach. And I just want to hear you talk.
You know, I don't think that inner child work is something that is specific only to survivors. You know, many people had things happen to them when they were children that you can still see echoes of in their adulthood. And it would not be a bad idea at all for them to go back and address those issues. We don't have to call it inner child work. We can just call it things you learned when you were a child that are hindering what you're doing as an adult. Although saying inner child work is a whole lot easier, right?
It really is.
You know, and we're going to get in, we're going to talk about what exactly do we mean by an inner child, because I think that that is where a lot of judgment comes from. You know, people think that it means we regress in age, or we have to talk in baby talk, or, you know, we're finger painting 24/7. But that's so not what it is. And I think sometimes when we suggest to people that they do inner child work, they interpret that as us saying that they're immature, or that obviously that they have some work to do, and that in and of itself can feel threatening to some people who don't want to admit that they might have anything they might have to work on. But you know, our brains are so amazing, the way that they protect us and help us survive trauma. I'm continually astounded at how protective our brains can be in a split second. You know, that information comes in, and within a nanosecond, our brain decides what to do with it in order to help protect us and keep us safe. Does it go into the normal brain processing mode, or do we section it off over here because that's a dangerous memory, thought, or feeling? And when we're children, one of the best ways that our brain protects us is to section that stuff off. Okay? The memories of the abuse, the thoughts that came to us as a result of the abuse, the way that we felt, and the beliefs. And that's a particularly, that one we have to talk. We're going to talk tonight about the beliefs that come out of that whole inner child part of our brain, because it's really important. That is where I see people fall down the most often in recovery, because they have these beliefs that they're hanging on to from their child, like it was my fault. I made it happen. I'm responsible for the abuse. And that is a belief that we just absolutely have to let go if we're going to get really far in our recovery. But all of these things come into our brain, and our brain just kind of sections it off, just kind of quietly puts it over here in a different part of our brain, away from everything else, because it's not safe. And there it stays. And for some of us, it is, you know, just kind of sectioned off, but it's a nice see-through fence, and we can see everything in there. And, you know, sometimes we can go back and forth, and it's really not all that hidden from us. For others of us, it is locked away in a fortress, and we can be so dissociated from that literally it feels like there's a whole different personality, a whole different part of us that holds those memories, thoughts, and beliefs. That's what my brain did, and that's the point that I got to. That was my experience. I was so dissociated from that. But that piece, that dissociated, that separated off, those memories, those beliefs, those thoughts, are what I call the inner child. Okay? It's not a person that we make up. It's just that sectioned part. That part that our brain looked at in a split second and said, okay, not good for us to look at and see on a daily basis. We're going to put that over here so that we can survive. And so when we're talking about doing inner child work, we're talking about going in and recognizing what's in that storage area, seeing it, looking at the thoughts, looking at the beliefs, looking at the feelings, bringing it into the light, and then reintegrating it back into our adult full self, okay? So that it's no longer sectioned off, it's not separate. It's part of who we are, all of who we are now. So that I really wanted to explain that tonight and share with people what my professional opinion of what the inner child is, so that you guys can all have a better handle on what we mean when we're talking about inner child. And as we go along tonight, we're going to talk about some specific ways that you can help to cope with that inner child, with our inner child, how you can help have the healing process go forward, and how you can help reintegrate all of those memories and feelings and thoughts, and how you can tackle those beliefs that your inner child has that are holding you back, or how you can tackle your feelings about your inner child. I can't tell you how many clients I work with who are angry at their inner child because they feel that he or she was somehow complicit in the abuse. And that is so understandable, and there's nothing wrong with you if you feel that way. But we do have to deal with it, and we do have to bring compassion and understanding into that relationship with your inner child, because not wanting to make a connection and a relationship with that part of your brain that's been sectioned off is going to hinder your recovery. So we will talk about that some more as we go along tonight. Athena, do we have any questions or more comments, thoughts, ideas, jokes?
Yeah. We have questions. Can you hear me good?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. So well, I have a couple of comments, and then I'm going to end with a question. So
okay.
Phoenix says that telling little Phoenix that she should have known better than to allow everything, and that she did know better. I have clients that do that as well. Laura's talking about the countless hours she spent of inner child work, and it's the best thing that you can ever do, and that she just nurtures her inner child until she can learn. And Nora's here. Nora lives here in Hawaii, and she's live with us. Hi, Nora. Sarah gets, she feels scared talking to her inner child because the pain is too much. So she avoids and she locks her away.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. And Kalisha, right as you very first started talking a few minutes ago, Kalisha said, inner child is all unhealed feelings from memories of abuse as a child. I told her that's perfectly put. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And two questions that I have, Bobby.
Okay, hit me.
Simi has one question, and August has one question.
Okay.
So Simi would like to know, is it bad that although my therapist wants integration, I don't feel ready? And we haven't really touched thoroughly on what integration is. And the second question is, can you lose your ability to dissociate? I would love to defer to you on those answers. I don't want to take over and just talk the whole time. I would love to hear you talk about these things, Bobby.
First and foremost, Simi, it's your recovery. Okay. And you do what you need to do in your own time. If you're not ready to integrate that child part of you into that adult part of you yet, then wait. I would wonder if maybe your therapist is picking up on some avoidance. But I still defer to you. You're the one. It's your body. It's your brain. You know what's best. It's your recovery. So if you're not ready, then don't move into that process, because there could be a real reason why you're not ready to integrate. There's a piece that hasn't been dealt with. So don't hesitate to let your therapist know, I don't think it's time yet. And then let her know why. explain to her what you're thinking and feeling and what's going on for you. But recovery doesn't move at our therapist's pace. It moves at our pace. Okay. And sometimes that's a difficult piece to communicate because we're so trained to put those helping professionals, up on a pedestal. But it's okay. It's your time, it's your recovery, and you get to do it as you see fit. August, can we lose the ability to dissociate? That is an excellent question, and I think like any skill, if it's not practiced regularly, it can become rusty. And maybe over the course of time, maybe, I don't know, a decade or so, you might lose that capacity. But if you used that frequently when you were a child, you have a pretty deep groove worn in your brain on the dissociation trail. Okay? Your brain is going to go down that path really easily. It's the difference between, you approach a fork in the road, and which one are you going to take? Are you going to be the nicely paved, wonderful 4-lane freeway with rest areas along the way and lights and McDonald's and all the wonderful things? Or are you going to go down the trail where you have to have your machete because you literally have to bushwhack your way through?
Yeah.
Nope. More often than not, you're going to go down that freeway. And I have a distinct freeway in my brain labeled dissociation freeway. Okay? Because I used it so often when I was a child, and then more so in recovery and things as a young adult. But I had to bushwhack my way through the jungle to make another path for more healthy ways. And so you may have to do that yourself, but like any road, if it's not used over a period of time, eventually it's going to kind of crumble and it might get overgrown with weeds. And of course, nobody's going to, fix or repair the road, and nobody's going to go down it, and all the McDonald's are going to shut down and the rest areas are never going to be cleaned anymore. So that's my thought about whether or not we can lose the ability to dissociate.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you one more question here, Bobby.
Sure. Hit me.
Where did it go? Oh, Bird Rogue, we'll miss you. It's okay. Just come back whenever you can. Bird Rogue's computer is going bazonkers and she can't be here. Laura says, the way I look at the work I've done is reparenting. Little Laura didn't get her needs met, and it comes out as dysfunction now. Bobby and I had a discussion about this, Laura, just before we went live about reparenting versus inner child work. And I think that we are saying similar things. It's just a semantical, like just a word that we're using different. But the work that you're doing, Laura, is phenomenal and it's effective. And we are huge fans of anything that is helping you in your recovery journey and helping you to meet the needs that you did not have met. So well done, Laura. Well done.
Yes. And by working to make that inner child feel safe and feel loved, you're going to more easily access the memories and thoughts and beliefs that she has, which will move you further along the road to integration of all of that and not having it sectioned off in a part of your brain anymore.
Yeah. What would you say, Bobby? What would you say to someone who is struggling? Since we have so many people that have messaged us, whether it's through email or Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, regarding really hating that inner child, being angry with that inner child for not knowing better, and connected to that, which I know we're going to talk about that in our content on our one page that will be popping up here shortly. But connected to that is going back, like here we are, fully functioning adult us.
Right.
We'll just call us Joe or Jane. fully functioning Joe and Jane are fully functioning adults. And then whammo, they get triggered, and running behind the scenes are the memories that they have, and all they can think as these memories are running behind the scenes is how pissed off they are at their inner child for not knowing better. And then I just talked to the client about this morning. It's like, well, if that were your daughter, would you be angry with her? Or if that was like a neighbor child or another person's child that you know that was that age, would you still be angry? And then that caused more anger. Like, that's the 1,000th time someone said that to me, but it's just not that easy. And it is not that easy. You're right. It's not just a wave a wand, one and done. But what would you say, Bobby, to answer this burning question that when we keep going back there, and not only do we keep going back there, but we're pissed off that our inner child keeps going back there because we know that our fully functioning adult self would never in their right mind go back there. So it's the inner child that's going back there. So what would you say to that person that is stuck and that just keeps going back?
You know, it's one of the key pieces that I think that we forget as we go through our recovery is that when we were children, we made decisions with our child's mind. So we cannot, as adults, evaluate a child's decisions with our adult mind. We have to evaluate that child's decisions with a child's mind. Okay? And remembering that your brain is not fully developed until you're like 25, 26 years old. And the primary area that doesn't fully develop until that age is your prefrontal cortex. And that's the part of your brain that deals with reasoning and logic and decision making. Okay? So here you have a child. Now remember, children come out of the womb hardwired to seek their parents' love and approval. It's a safety instinct. We are born with two instincts. That's it, two. One is the fear of falling, and the other is a need to attach to our parent. I don't know why the fear of falling. That's just a weird one. But anyway, those two things. And I don't know how researchers found that out. How do you know? But anyway, there you go. That's what they tell us. Two things we're born with. And it's not like you come out of the womb and you can say, okay, my father's a pedophile and my mother's a narcissist. Yeah, no, I don't think those are going to be good people for me to attach to. So I'm going to take a pass on that. And, I'm not going to say or think or put anything special on their opinions and a relationship with them. No, we come out and we attach to our parents and we crave their love and their approval. And so when a parent comes to us and they treat us badly, we have two choices in that moment. We can say, okay, my parent is bad, or we can say, I'm bad. There are very, 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 very few children who are ever going to make the choice to say my parent is bad, because that violates every instinct besides the instinct to fall, not fall, that we have in our head. That violates our hardwiring. We cannot make the choice to see our parent as bad, because if your parent is bad, that means you are completely unsafe, undone, unprotected in the world. Now, maybe when you get a little bit older, you can recognize one parent as not so good, as long as you still have an attachment to the other one. But it's just psychologically virtually impossible not to believe ourselves bad rather than our parents bad.
Oh, Bobby, I think we might need to do a virtual summit or something. I have so many messages. I hate my inner child. It's all her fault. How do you stop blaming the inner child for what happened? I just, yeah, we might need to. I know that we have our content, our one-page content that we're going to be going through here in a moment.
Yeah.
But everybody needs to know, how do I stop blaming her? How do I stop hating her? How do I do it?
Right.
And I just don't know if just a real quick one page is going to, I don't know. What
It's
do you,
not one of those one and done kind of things, because to understand it, you really have to get into the mind of that child, and you have to understand what was going on in their head. Did they willingly go along with someone who was abusing them? Did they willingly seek approval from and love from someone that was abusing them? In our adult mind, it might look that way. But to a child, especially a young child, 4, 5, 6 years old, what other choice do they have? It's not like you're going to pick up the phone and say, yeah, my father's really bad to me, and he's hurting me, and I need to go someplace else now and live. No, you don't have that power. You are literally at the mercy of your parents. And you don't know that what your father or mother or your grandmother or your uncle is doing to you isn't right. It's not like at preschool they discuss, those kinds of issues. You have no frame of reference.
yeah.
And so you chose to do what you needed to do to survive.
And
Okay.
oftentimes, you guys, I want to make sure that you understand what Bobby and I are saying. We look back at what happened when we were children, and we rationalize it with our adult mind going, what was she thinking? He abused me 27 times at that same house. What was she thinking? And that's our adult self. Sorry, that's our adult self shaming our younger self. When, picture a baby, you guys, picture a baby learning how to be potty trained. Do you think they crap their diaper on purpose? No. They release their poop into their diaper because if they kept it inside, they would get sick. Like, it's a natural body function. That's why there's so much talk about how you potty train a child and how it can develop and cause mental illness as an adult, and the personality to just become completely distorted as an adult. That's just one example, but I'm only using it as an example, you guys. So imagine a little child. Would you yell at a baby, what are you thinking, pooping in a diaper? Why are you pooping? No, like, we just wouldn't, because it's unkind and inhumane. Try for just a half a second to think of how similar it is for us as fully functioning sovereign adults who can go to the market and buy some cheese and come home and make an enchilada. For us to go, what were you thinking going into his house? He abused you over and over. It's like, but they were just a child. Like, they were just doing what they were told. You don't get to be little and go, excuse me, what'd you just tell me to do? I don't think so. You go away. I'm not going where you're telling me to go. You're crazy. Like, you're not allowed to do that. First of all, you'd probably get your mouth washed out with soap. You came from anyone that I knew. And second of all, it's impossible. It is a literal impossibility for a child to have the wherewithal to find the words to not only go against everything that they have ever been taught from birth, but articulate their feelings into words. It is impossible. That's why a lot of times when you see children that are children that are still young, that are working with child psychologists, or if they're working with a counselor and they're told to draw a picture of their abuse, they'll hold the crayon like this. They'll hold the crayon like this, and they'll scratch it on the paper. They don't, even if they're an adult, they don't pick up the pen and just hold it nicely and then just draw a picture of the abuse. If they're told, you know what I mean? Like, it's a physical, emotional, scientific impossibility for a child to have the wherewithal to know better that they shouldn't go into that room, or they shouldn't get into that car. And it's not until you become just a little bit older, maybe a tween or a teen, when you're like, excuse me, dad's been drinking. There's no way I'm getting in the car with him because he's going to drive drunk. And then you get your face slapped because you stood up for yourself, and you hardly don't do that again because you get in big trouble. But it's an impossibility for a little child, like a little baby doesn't know that they're not supposed to poop. Like that's why they have a diaper on, so they can poop in it. So it's the same thing for these little children that are being molested and abused. They literally don't have the wherewithal to stand up for themselves and do anything different. They are literally little robots. They do whatever they're told. They have an inclination to reach up and reach out. And if they reach up and reach out and they are completely neglected and abandoned, then there are even more problems. I mean, that's a whole nother video. But I don't know how to answer quickly how to make you stop hating your inner child or hating the fact that little you did what they shouldn't have done, other than to tell you that it would be great if you could forgive them because he or she didn't know that what they were doing could be stopped ever. That was never one of the choices. It wasn't, do you want to come? It was, if you know what's good for you and you want to live, then you better get over here. And when a child is given a life or death choice, they're going to choose life. Like, it's just the way it is. Bobby,
Right.
Your comments on that?
And I think that one of the times that I see people hang on to that self-blame is because when we let go of the self-blame, then guess where the blame goes? The blame then goes on to our abuser and their enablers. And to fully grasp the magnitude of the fact that your father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, aunt, uncle not only abused you, but horribly betrayed your trust and possibly didn't even love you, that is a huge pain. I mean, that is an emotional pain that seems bottomless. And so sometimes we hang on to the self-blame as a way of avoiding shifting the blame where it belongs, which is on our abuser and their enablers. I see this happen most often with incest, okay, when it was a family member, a primary family member that abused you. And so you hold on to the self-blame because it's a lot easier to believe that it was your fault than it is to face the pain of having been abused by someone who is supposed to protect you and love you. And it's really hard to imagine that someone can love you and also abuse you. So you kind of have to look at it and go, well, maybe they didn't love me.
Well, and if that's the case, you guys, this is like boiling it all down, right? Just stripping it all down to the bare naked, what is it? If it wasn't our fault when we were a child, and like Bobby just got done saying, deductive reasoning would dictate that would mean that it was the abuser's fault. And if the abuser is someone who said they loved us, but yet they also abused us, and those two, there's where the double bind comes in. There's where people, it's actually crazy making. So if this person, they either love you or they don't, and guess what you innately feel inside? If they really don't love you, it's not because they're flawed. It's because you are. You are all of a sudden unlovable.
Yeah.
Defective. It's what you thought your whole life. You thought, something must be wrong with me. Something must be wrong with me. Why would all this be happening to me? And if you actually believed that your abuser didn't really love you, you would be forced by process of elimination to agree with and accept the fact that you are unlovable. You're so horrible that you're not even able to be loved. And that, my friends, is a recipe for people who want to commit suicide. People mostly commit suicide because they feel completely defective and hopeless, and they want to just give up because they not only are not lovable, but they will never be lovable. And we're here to dispel all of that and tell you that all of that is a lie. It's all a lie. The real truth is that the people that say they love you, but they abuse you, or they pimp you out, or send you out to be abused, or sacrifice you for their own good, those are the ones that have the issue. And it's not us.
Yeah,
But
they're broke.
they're the ones that are broken. And it's not us, but no one ever teaches us that.
No.
We have to learn. It's like some weird secret society. Like we have to learn it on our own as an adult if we survive. If we survive. I mean, what kind of a mind screw is that, right? Not only are you lied to from birth, told that you're loved, but yet you're sacrificed and abused and tortured. But wait, I thought you loved me. But what is this? But that is love. That's how you end up in abusive relationships, and then you get re-victimized. But then here's the rub. You get older, you realize that you're not really the one that's defective. It wasn't your inner child. It wasn't the younger you that was defective. It was actually the people that you thought were normal. Those are the defective ones. Whoa, wait a second. If that's true and all the other stuff that I thought was true really isn't true, is anything true? Am I me? What is life? Where am I? Well, and it begins to just really, it will drive you crazy if you allow it to. So we're going to back up from all of that and tell you that there's one lie. And the one lie was that they loved you. Okay, that's one lie. They don't know how to love you if they're sacrificing you and torturing you and abusing you. Their version of love is not a healthy version of love. You are not the problem. There's nothing wrong with you. If I could just have you take one thing away from this entire broadcast, you, the little version of you, and you, the adult version of you, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not the defective one. The people who decided to hurt you or pimp you out or sacrifice you for their own good or use you and exploit you so they could benefit from you in some way, those are the ones that are broken. Those are the people that have the problem. And let's pause for a second and check in with fully functioning, very wise adult you and ask you that question. If I saw someone standing at the bus station exploiting people and pimping someone out or abusing someone, would I think that person was good or bad? So if fully functioning adult wise you knows that that is bad, deductive reasoning would dictate, let's rewind it all the way back to the beginning of this conversation. If it's wrong now, it was wrong back then. And that means you weren't at fault. It wasn't your fault. It was never your fault. I know that's a lot to take in. Deep breath. I'm going to pass this over to Bobby, but that's a big truth bomb for you guys. You were never to blame. You were never at fault. And I hope this has helped you. We have a very comprehensive one page. If you're new to this broadcast, you can go to traumarecoveryuniversity.com or nomoreshameproject.com. You can click on the tab that says downloadables. You will be asked for your email address and given immediate access to not only tonight's resource, but our entire library of downloadable resources. Tonight's resource is titled Inner Child Work in Recovery, and we have a library of 90 or 100 one-page resources that you'll get complimentary access to, and moving forward later on in 2016 or 17, you'll have a password to access them all, and you won't have to put your email in each and every time. So I'm going to hand this over to you, Bobby.
Some people are making some really nice suggestions on the Twitter timeline for people who are still experiencing that hate towards their inner child, that it's one step at a time. Okay, so maybe the first step is we tolerate our inner child. We can sit in the same room in our head with them. We can coexist side by side. I find I have a lot more success with clients in asking them to be compassionate of their inner child rather than asking them to love their inner child. Somehow love seems like a much more impossible thing to do than to have compassion, because compassion truly means that you simply want to alleviate someone's suffering. Okay? It's not acceptance of anything. When I say, can you love your inner child? They're like, no, I can't accept what she did. What she did was wrong. Okay, well, can you have compassion for the fact that she's suffering and she needs help and love to get past that suffering? Yeah, that feels easier to do. So take one step at a time. Just one step at a time. That's all it takes. And we'll talk on the one page about not rushing the process, and about how important it is to get help during the process, especially if your inner child possesses a lot of very painful, traumatic memories. So let's see if I can do my lovely screen sharing work here. There we go. Share. And let's do almost there. Now I need my Johnny Carson jokes, right? Okay. So here's the one page. And again, like Athena said, this is over on nomoreshame.project.com. You see a tab that says downloadables, and all of our one pages are there. The most recent one is at the top of the list. So if this is a replay that you're watching, take a look at the date compared to today's date, and kind of you'll be able to judge a bit for where that is. And you can download it, print it out, keep it in a binder, whatever it is that is helpful for you, because our whole purpose in putting these together was to give you a summarized single page of information that not only educates you about the topic, but it provides you with some tips and strategies to deal with problems and issues around that topic. So this is the Inner Child Work in Recovery one page. And it starts off, we've already talked about some of this stuff. One of the most often heard phrases in the field of recovery from child abuse is inner child work. It is also one of the most misunderstood and misjudged concepts. Inner child work doesn't involve regressing in age, speaking baby talk, or creating a separate child self. So what is it? And what do we even mean when we refer to our inner child? Okay, so this talks about how our brain protected us and sectioned this information off. One of the ways our brain tries to protect us from psychological damage is to section off traumatic memories, beliefs, and feelings. Because we were abused as children, our brain may have placed memories and feelings about our experience in one part of our brain, segregated from the rest of our day-to-day functioning. We often call that separated group of trauma experiences our inner child. For some of us, that inner child is barely sectioned off, and we're very aware of what is stored in that pocket of our mind. For others, that inner child is completely dissociated from us, and we have almost no awareness of what is held in that part of our brain. And those are the things that tend to, spring up on us, later in life when we're safe and we've moved far away from our abuser. And then all of a sudden that part of our brain starts dropping memories on us. And that's sometimes why we end up in recovery, because we start to recover those memories. There are 3 goals with inner child work. Okay? 3 goals. One is reconnecting with that storehouse of memories, thoughts, and feelings from our childhood abuse. The second is healing any hurt and damage carried by that inner child. And the third is integrating that child's memories, thoughts, and feelings into our adult self. Something important to remember is that when we are trying to understand the thoughts, feelings, and memories held by our inner child, that we must do so from a child's perspective. We cannot judge their beliefs and emotions as an adult. If our inner child believes they were at fault for our abuse, we have to understand that self-blame from a child's thought process. And that's what we were talking about earlier. We're born with that instinct to want love and approval from our parents. It's just innate. We can't fight it. We can't not have it. In rare instances, a child can, not attach, but that's very rare. So most of us were born and attached to our parent. And that's where then all of the confusion comes in when that parent begins to abuse us or act badly. And that sets us all into that self-blame, are we lovable phrase that Athena and I were talking about earlier. Any kind of negative beliefs about our inner child will only hinder our being able to reconnect with that part of our trauma experience. That inner child deserves nothing but compassion and understanding. Those emotions will heal the rift between our childhood experiences and our current self. Okay? So if for no other reason than to promote your own healing, to make it swifter, to make it smoother, look at tackling that self-blame piece and that anger piece. Okay? If for no other reason than your recovery, than wanting your recovery to go faster and smoother, that's a good reason to tackle that self-blame and that anger towards your inner child. To help connect with, heal, and integrate with our inner child, explore these tips and strategies. Okay, and there we are right on the top again. Avoid any judgment of your inner child's thoughts, memories, feelings, or beliefs. Okay, again, remember they were fighting a losing battle. And they were they were in a battle without any, equipment to fight back with. There was no winning. And we cannot judge that inner child by our adult rationalizations. And we also can't sacrifice that inner child because we don't want to face the pain of the fact that one of our parents, one of our family members was so broken that they didn't know how to love us and instead they chose to hurt us. Work to build a relationship filled with compassion, safety, and acceptance with your inner child. Oftentimes when I work with survivors who are feeling, all of a sudden they're feeling panicked or anxious or upset about a particular situation, I'll ask them to check in with their inner child. And sometimes that anxiety comes from the inner child because they're recognizing a situation as similar to something from their childhood. And it's perfectly okay at that point for you to check in your head and do what you can to make that child feel comfortable and safe and protected. Athena, just before we went on the broadcast, you were talking to me about the things that you say and do with your inner child when you feel that they're triggered.
Yes.
Can you share that with us? Because that was such a good example of what I mean and what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. So what I was sharing with Bobby was oftentimes when I feel triggered, or if I notice myself, which this happens over time, it didn't happen right away, you guys. If I'm triggered or I notice myself acting adolescent or responding in a way that is not the way I would normally respond. Like you guys have gotten to know me as an adult. Sometimes when I get triggered, the example I gave Bobby was when my husband hands me a piece of food. If he hands me food, I will often immediately, without even knowing it, go into child mode. Why is that, you might ask? Well, food was withheld from me as a child. I did not have adequate amounts of food, let alone healthy food. I was not allowed to open the refrigerator and grab what I would like to eat. I got in trouble if I ate certain things. I was not allowed to go to the cupboard and grab something out of the cupboard and eat whatever I would like. Oftentimes the food was expired. It smelled funny. It was spoiled. It would make me sick. I would be staying home from school on the couch with food poisoning. At which point my one of my family members would tell me that I had the flu and the flu was going around. Never admitted the fact that I was eating spoiled food, and that was why I was so sick on the couch, sick home from school. So in addition to that, when I would be picked up from school by another family member and I would be taken to be quote unquote lent out or pimped out or traded for goods and services or whatever you want to call it, the reward was food because they knew I was hungry. And so food is a huge trigger for me, huge. And very innocently and lovingly, my husband will be slicing fruit or vegetables or something, and he'll come over and he'll give me a bite. Or we'll be barbecuing. Like sometimes we barbecue on Friday nights or Saturday nights, and he'll say, I saved you something. And it'll be like a little piece that was like a crispy piece of chicken or a crispy piece of something that we barbecued. He knows I love that. He'll hand it to me. And rather than me, in my normal voice that you guys are used to hearing me use, like the voice I'm using right now, rather than me saying, thank you so much, this is delicious, I will, without even knowing it, I will say, thank you, that is so good, that is so yummy. And I'm obviously in that moment not fully functioning adult Athena. I have snap, instantly I'm in child mode. Because food, when given to me, it's trigger. And so what I do, what Bobby is referring to, the work that I'm doing with younger me, when I notice that I'm triggered and I am in child mode and I'm not responding as a fully functioning sovereign adult that has all the world before me and all of my capabilities, and I can jump in my car and go to the market if I want to get food, what I notice when I am in child mode is I will try to assess in my adult self, my wise self, what age I am in that moment. How old am I acting? Am I 8? Am I 15? Am I, like, sometimes I'm little Miss Sassy Pants. I can be a little brat. And I know that at that moment, especially if it's food related, that I am a teenager. And I rarely curse, unless I get fired up about a topic here with you guys on video. But I rarely curse, like just in my normal whatever self. And I can tell you one thing, that if I am triggered into like a teenage version of myself, I can make a sailor blush. And I know in that moment that I'm in child mode and that I'm a teenager. And if I look like, once I notice that I'm doing it and I look at it and I go, wow, rather than shaming myself for being in child mode, or shaming myself. And like one time, I literally cried myself to sleep because I was feeling so ashamed. And so, I didn't realize until the next day that I was in child mode. I just knew that I was so emotional and upset about something my husband had done. And I didn't have any words. I literally couldn't speak. I could just sob and cry. And I realized the next day or the day after that that was something pre-verbal. I literally didn't have words for it. It was something that happened to me prior to me being able to use words to articulate the pain that I was in. So I think just removing the emotion from when you realize you're in child mode or you realize you're triggered, and remove the emotion from it if you possibly can in your wise sovereign self, and just sort of look and glance at what age you might be, and then cater to that child. I mean, just check in with that child. Be kind and sweet and loving. And if that child wants some Skittles, then give that child a handful of Skittles. If that child, wants to go, do watercolors for 2 hours because work is stressing you out, then just take a break from what you're doing if you possibly can, and maybe go draw or I've just been trying to pay close attention to what age I'm triggered to and what triggered me to that age. And as I have been paying closer attention to that and not shaming myself, my recovery has I've just felt like that I've grown exponentially. Bobby, what do you think about my recovery journey since I've been doing that?
I think that's been so helpful for you. And one of the big reasons is that it gives validation. You don't feel, you're not as tempted to section off or keep some of those parts sectioned off because you recognize them as valid and lovable. And people are talking on the Twitter stream about, ways to develop a relationship with your inner child. And the best thing that I can say is to approach your inner child the same way you would any child. Okay? So if there's a 4-year-old child that all of a sudden you get up and you meet, you're not going to start yelling them about what they believe or what they think. You're going to earn their trust. You're going to be kind to them. You're going to be compassionate to them. And if they're feeling overwhelmed and they have a temper tantrum because they're overwhelmed and they're overtired, you're not going to shame them. You're going to sit with them, make sure that they're physically safe. And then when they're done, maybe then you can share some hugs and things will be better. But approach your inner child as if they were truly a child. Laura, who has done some excellent inner child work, was talking about the concept of doing fun things. And when you're raising a child, you do fun things and you do the hard things too, right? I mean, life is not all struggle about learning to count and, always brushing your teeth. And no, it's play. It's fun. It's enjoying time with that inner child. It's building a relationship. Okay? None of the ways that we were loved as a child, but all the ways that that inner child needs to be loved. And that's right, a perfect segue into the next bullet point on the 1 page. Remember that the language of children is play, not words. Okay? So when you have a 4-year-old inner child that is hanging on to, with their very last breath, the belief that they are a bad child, words and reasoning and logic are not going to work. They're just not going to work. You wouldn't try and reason with a 4-year-old. You wouldn't sit down and say, now, okay, let's look at this rationally. All right? I want you to understand this point that I'm trying to make. You're not going to do that. You're going to talk to them at their level. You're going to teach them through play. You're going to teach them through example. Okay? So there's another reason to treat your inner child with love and respect, because they're learning by example. If they see you treating them with love and respect, they're going to be more likely to treat themselves with love and respect. So use play. Use play to access the memories and build the relationship. Expressive
Hey, Bobby?
Yeah?
Sorry, you were going to say expressive therapies. I'm sorry.
Yes, like art therapy are also useful.
Sorry. I
That's
have
okay.
people asking questions. So Sarah had commented how much she hates it when she's in child mode because it feels like she has 2 personalities and that she's going crazy. And then Kalisha said she feels like that too, and she can't tell what ages she's is when it happens. And then Phoenix says that she wants to go play pitch and catch with her inner child, and that the child and the adult Phoenix both love softball, but for which I think is so cool. But
That is cool.
It is very cool. I want to comfort you, Sarah, and I honestly, in my fully functioning adult self, I absolutely hate it when I'm in child mode because it's very unpredictable, and children are not predictable. If any of y'all have children, you know that they are not predictable. It could just, you would never know how it's going to happen and turn out. And it's not something that is, some things you just can't plan for. But Bobby, what would you say to Sarah, who hates it when she's in child mode and she feels like she has 2 personalities and that she's going crazy? And to Kalisha, who feels the exact same way and cannot even tell what ages that she is when it happens?
I think the best thing to do, the absolute best thing that you can do for yourself when you find yourself in that situation in child mode is to reach for compassion. Okay, compassion needs to be the very first tool that you reach for. Compassion for yourself because you're disoriented, you're frightened, and compassion for that inner child who may be feeling themselves frightened and out of sorts and overwhelmed. Take some time to yourself, okay? Take a minute, center yourself, ground yourself, and see if you can figure out what is going on. And is your inner child frightened? Is she feeling unsafe? Does he have something he needs to share with you? You know, are you feeling unsafe? And are there warning bells ringing inside your body that have stirred your inner child to come up and figure out what the heck is going on? It gets easier. It gets easier over time. Learning how to stand in the gap, to have one foot in the inner child world and one foot in the fully functioning adult world is a skill. It really is. Learning to breach that gap, to stand with one foot on each side, takes practice, it takes balance, it takes strength.
Hey, Bobby. Surviving My Past blog, Matt says that he tries to ignore his inner child because he doesn't want to blame him in therapy, though he can ignore him when he's triggered. I don't know if he meant he cannot ignore him, but he doesn't want to blame his inner child, but then he is trying to ignore. But I have not found ignoring our inner child to do any good whatsoever. Have you found that ignoring helps at all, Bobby?
Well, no, just like ignoring a child in real life.
Yeah.
You can walk around and ignore that child, but eventually their needs are going to become so huge that you're going to head for probably something of a very, very, very explosive situation.
Explosive is a good word. Jack says that's how he deals. He tries to ignore and hide his inner child and protect him and keep him safe from insults and pain. But you guys, when we avoid pain, we suffer. We explode. I think that bears repeating. The more we avoid our pain and go around it, over it, or under it, and we don't move through it, the more we suffer. We ignore the pain, we suffer. We hide from the pain, we suffer. We ignore the inner child, we suffer. We hide the inner child, we suffer.
We blame the inner child.
We suffer.
We suffer. And the hardest part, I think, of recovery is dealing with all those painful emotions. And they're huge. And they're so hard. But again, good segue to the next bullet point. If your inner child holds painful memories, please work with a trained professional to access and reintegrate those memories. Okay? Don't try and work your way through all of this on your own. You deserve the support and compassion of someone by your side who knows what they're doing. Okay? Especially if you're like me and you grew up with that inner child very, very, very dissociated. Okay? It's going to be very frightening to deal with that influx of memories and beliefs and feelings on your own. So please get help. You deserve to get help. Pace yourself. There's no need to speed the work. And in fact, again, if you have children in real life, you know what happens when you try and rush a child, especially a young child. They'll get frustrated. They'll get overwhelmed. They'll get upset. And then what happens? It takes twice as long.
Hey, Bobby.
Because
It takes twice as long because I want you to finish your thought. I wanted to tell you there's a question.
because you're dealing with an upset child and now you have to soothe the child before you can actually leave the house.
Yeah.
So don't rush it. There's time, and do it, and we can do it the right way rather than monkeying the works and making it harder for ourselves. Hit me, Athena.
Okay, so August wants to know if all of this is similar to DID. And my answer is no. Well, my first answer is no. Inner child work does not mean that you have DID. But do people who live with DID benefit from inner child work? Yes. Bobby, your comments on that?
Exactly the same. Yes. Just because you do inner child work, it doesn't mean that you have DID. But people who have DID frequently do inner child work. So I agree with you 100%, Miss Athena.
August, please let us know if our answers helped you. We want to make sure that your questions are answered here on our Q&A.
So the last bullet point, and then I'll be able to see Athena if she signals me that there's a question. Many survivors didn't get the chance to play and experience normal childhood activities. As you work to reintegrate, whoa, big words, your inner child into your adult self, incorporate more play and carefree exploration of life into your daily activities. Honor all that you lost by giving yourself a chance to play now in adulthood. You know, and it's interesting because I've gone to conferences with survivors, you know, gone to conventions and retreats. And one of the most difficult things for survivors to do can be to play. And I have been in a room full of survivors when the conference leader wanted them, oh my gosh, it was something like, it was some kind of a game, not like tag, but a game where you had to get up, you know, and be active. And there were so many survivors who couldn't go there because it just felt so overwhelming and it felt so scary. So integrate what play that you can. You know, if you like baseball and your inner child likes baseball, go to a baseball game.
I think Phoenix said that she's going to see if her husband will play catch with her since the weather's nice, and her inner child and her adult self both love softball or love to play catch.
Yes. And, you know, give yourself the gift of what you missed when you were a child. It's okay. And there are many ways to do things that you missed when you were a child now as an adult. I get a huge kick out of those chains that are springing up now where you go as an adult and you paint a picture. You know, there's one picture. Yeah. Often
I did that.
Often they incorporate wine, but it doesn't have to be part of it. You know, and you get to paint. Hey, you know, how many of us had the carefree experience of being able just to focus on a silly art project as a child? You know, and they have pottery studios where you can, you know, go in and glaze, pick out, you know, something that you want to paint and glaze, and they'll fire it, and you come back to glass blowing studios.
Like color me mine.
There.
I wanted you to know. Okay, so remember I showed you my new office, Bobby. We showed you when I first did it, but I have these little twinkly lights all around my office, you guys, that make me so happy. It's a good environment. But over here in my little corner, there's these little bins, and they're all filled with art stuff and pencils and paints and canvases and little books and stuff. And I wanted to show you. I drew this angel out, and I'm going to paint her. I was inspired to do this. I wanted to start an anthology, a No More Shame anthology for artwork. I know that Jack was very interested in that, and I had a couple people interested in that. And I wanted to sort of do it in an effort to raise awareness of suicide and self-harm within the survivor community. So I was inspired to paint this particular piece of artwork from our dear friend Soledad, who passed away just this past year. Actually, it was a little bit over a year ago. I believe her 1-year anniversary. Didn't it just come up, or maybe it was her birthday? Anyway, our dear friend Soledad passed away. So anyway, I want to show you my little angel that I drew, and I haven't painted her yet. She's just barely, she's sort of thinking, she's introspective, and I love
she's
her
beautiful.
wing. Thank you. She's looking down and she's thinking, and she has long, beautiful hair, and she's, anyway, so I haven't painted her yet, but I'm thinking of painting her. And we have a dear friend of ours that's actually live with us tonight for, like, she doesn't always show up every single Monday, but it's Nora. Nora lives in Oahu, and we were going to paint virtually, and that's when I started sketching this particular angel, because Nora has an angel piece that I really, really loved, and she was going to show me how she did it. She did it. The medium she used was acrylic on wood planks, but I have a canvas here. So anyway, you guys, this really makes my little girl happy. I didn't spend a lot of time drawing and doing stuff, but when I can allow myself, this took a long time for me to do, and it's been sitting there. It's been sitting there for months, and I haven't done anything else on it, because just like August said just now a moment ago, I think it was August. August says, I don't know how to play. Like Bobby was saying that when she went to the conference or the retreat. Play is something that's very triggering for me, as if we watch any type of movie or go to some type of event, and people refer to, all of your fond childhood memories. What is your most fond childhood memory? And I sit there like a bitter little teenager going, are you effing kidding me right now? Like, fond? Really? Fond? And and when I do come up with a fond childhood memory, like if it just comes naturally and I start to remember something naturally that was a fond memory of my childhood, I'm afraid, this is big, I'm afraid to enjoy that fond childhood memory, because the gaslighting that I endured through much of my adulthood, if I had one good memory, it must mean that all of my bad memories didn't exist and they were deleted. So when I have those fond childhood memories, like this was something that was fond, like I really enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed drawing this, and I had a fond childhood memory come up while I was drawing that, and I was almost afraid to feel the fond memory, as though it would invalidate everything else for some reason that I've ever been through, which is, again, that's a child's black and white thinking. I was triggered into child mode. I know, as fully functioning adult Athena, that just because I remember one thing that's good doesn't mean that anything else in the whole wide world that ever happened didn't happen. Like, that's just not reality. But when you're a child, that's often the way it goes. So, Bobby, do you have any comments on that, or do you have anybody on the Twitter stream that needs?
Just people were looking for a little bit of clarification on the difference between DID, and August provided a link to one of Katie Morton's videos about what is DID. So that's awesome.
Thank you so much, August. And Inundated Insider says, today I spent a lazy afternoon on my best friend's couch talking and laughing, and it was the best thing I could have done. That, my friend, is healthy self-care. That is amazing.
And Nora put her picture of the angel up.
Thank you, Nora. You inspired me, and Soledad inspired me to do this, and I really want to do a survivors anthology, and I want it to be angels. Like, that's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to just put it out there. Hey, survivor community, in order to raise awareness about self-harm and suicide within the survivor community, I'm going to publish an anthology of everyone's artwork, and it has to be angels, and you won't make any money off of it. It doesn't cost you any money, but you're not going to make any money off of it. And all the proceeds will go to raise awareness about self-harm and suicide within the survivor community. And you can participate if you want to. So if you're interested, I mean, I'll do a proper video and a proper invite. But if you watch this video and you're interested, please email us at nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. And as I move forward and sort of organize that anthology, then I'll let you know more information about that. But if you want to submit anything, submit artwork, ask questions, nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. And in the comment or in the subject line of the email, put art or art angel anthology, art anthology or something. Okay? Hopefully you guys got that. Bobby, I feel like I should hand this over to you. It's not about my little picture, but I mean, it was very on topic. It was very relevant regarding inner child stuff. So,
yes. And those are the kinds of things that if you know, like Denise is talking about how she learned to sew in the 8th grade in home ec, and she still does it. I think that's fantastic. Whatever it is that really appeals to you and makes every part of you happy, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, you guys. If it is cathartic and therapeutic for you, imagine if someone learns of what you're doing and then that's something really healing for them. It could only bring good is what I mean. So
okay. Shall we move into showing our contact information and things? It's about 9:30.
Absolutely. So you guys, thank you so much for all of you who show up on a regular basis. We are so grateful for you. And if you are new and this is your first time watching one of our videos or listening to a podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, however it is that you found us, and this is your first time and you are not sure how to get plugged into Safe Community, we have online, virtual, globally accessible safe groups for adult survivors of child abuse that are vetted and safe, and you're free from predators and you heal among other survivors. And it is very, very, very therapeutic, and it will grow you in your recovery journey, and it will push you forward exponentially, and you will heal faster. Bobby and I exist to save you time and money, because if you're not spending however many thousands of dollars a year in therapy for 30 years, then it will save you money and it will save you time. So thank you for coming. Thank you, as always, for being the reason we show up every single week. We are honored that you are here. Bobby Parrish and myself, Athena Moberg, we're grateful for you. So if this, we will say a fond farewell and a thank you to all of our normal every week people who show up and send us your questions. We'll be here back again next week, you guys. Same time, Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning, Greenwich Mean Time, and we will be discussing religion and how it is used in abuse to perpetuate abuse. When you know,
malignant uses of religion to perpetuate our abuse.
Yes, and that, I mean, I know that there are many of you here live. I know you and I know your story. There are many of you that are here live that did happen. So that's next week's topic. And then the following week's topic is going to be learned helplessness. We're going to talk about what that is and how did we learn how to be helpless? Who taught us that? Is it part of our grooming process? Whatever, that's going to be the week after that. So thank you for showing up. Bobby, did you want to say anything before we transition into our community and how to contact us?
No, except that it appears that Mr. Copper would like to say hello.
Oh, hi, Copper.
He climbed into my lap.
I talked and no one could see him. I will be quiet if you want to grab him again.
Here he is. Oh, he says, no, I don't want to be up here. Oh, okay, what's here? Oh, nope, down.
Copper is so cute. Oh my gosh. And we got to see Silver one time too, about a year ago.
The kitty cat, yes.
Silver. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. We will see you next week. We have tomorrow night's the OG original Sex Abuse Chat. Hashtag Sex Abuse Chat, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Come hang out with us on Twitter. There's no live video feed during that one, but we would love to hang out with you on Twitter for an hour and talk about this same topic, inner child work and recovery. So thanks for just as always, as being the reason we do everything we do. So we'll stay tuned more in the weeks and months to come. We'll be talking about our nonprofit that we're starting called 1millionsurvivors.org, and how you can be involved and help do fundraisers or just spread the word, which is free to do. So I guess we could put up our shareables now.
Let's talk about ways to connect with us. I am just sharing all the weird buttons. Okay. Okay, ways to contact us. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger. Oops, too big. Back. Okay. If you'd like to contact us via email, I am BobbyLParish@gmail.com. Athena is Athena Moberg speaking @gmail.com. And then we have our joint email account, and that is No More Shame Project @gmail.com. We are bringing on volunteers as we speak. However, it still is taking us a while to get to our email, and we just ask that you please have patience with us. It can take us a while to get back to you on responses. On Twitter, the Bluebird, I am Bobby L. Parrish. Athena is Athena Moberg, and Trauma Recovery University is Trauma Recovery U, because Twitter only lets you have 15 characters in your handle, and we've run out of space. On Facebook, we have our joint Facebook page, Trauma Recovery University. My professional page is Bobby Parrish Coaching Consulting, and my personal page is Bobby Parrish. Athena's professional page is Athena Moberg Speaking, and her personal page is Dawn Athena Moberg. You can find our replays, all of them, on both YouTube and Roku TV, and you can also connect with us on Google+. Just do a search for Trauma Recovery University. And 24/7, 365, you can watch the latest episode and watch us live here on Monday evenings at bit.ly/Trauma Recovery U, and the capitals do matter there. bit.ly needs its capitals to be happy. So don't forget the capitals.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so many pop-ups. All right. Let's go.
I just want to pop up also. And I lost you. I don't even know where you went. You're gone. Oh, there you are. Sorry. Ooh, sorry.
That's okay. Let's look at ways to join us in safe community. Here we go. Okay. We have multiple ways that you can join our survivor community, what we call our family, a cross between friends and family. And these are all free ways to interact with the thousands of people that we have in our survivor community from 58 countries around the world. We have 3 Twitter chats a week, as Athena mentioned earlier. Monday with the hashtag CSAQT, which stands for Child Sexual Abuse Question Time. That is at 10 a.m. Pacific in the US and 6 p.m. in the UK. And then there is the interactive video Twitter chat that you are either watching live right now or you're watching a replay of. And that is Monday evenings at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, and Tuesdays at 2 in the morning in the UK. Then Tuesday evening is the original sex abuse chat, hashtag sex abuse chat, and that is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, and 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK. So again, over here on the right-hand column, you'll see the link to join us live every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern, or 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK to watch our live video broadcast with Q&A just go to that link and you can see on the top of the page is the video feed and on the bottom is the Twitter stream. So one page will do everything, one-stop shopping, thanks to Ms. Athena's technical wizardry. Okay.
I love being a technical wizard. Although I don't feel worthy of the title right now because I feel like I pretty much suck right now, but
that's okay. It's my title. I can give it to you.
Okay.
Okay. If you would like to join one of our Facebook groups, and I talked earlier at the beginning of the video that we're starting up a new co-ed support group, you can do so by following this 4-step process. And the first thing is to go in and like the Trauma Recovery University page on Facebook, the business page, and then send friend requests to Athena and I. I'm in Dallas, she's in Hawaii. We are in 2 very different time zones. So send a friend request to both of us. You never know which one of us will be able to get back to you first. And then when you have an accepted friend request, then send us a Facebook message then. Don't send it before we accept your friend request, because then it goes into our infamous other folder and we never get notified when messages pop in there. So once we've accepted your friend request, then send us a message that says something like, "I'd like to heal in safe community." And then we will, if we don't already know you, from interactions on Facebook, from being here in our Twitter chats or on the broadcast, we will ask you some questions. And we ask that you please not be offended by that, because we do everything that we can to protect the safety of our group members. It's just of utmost importance to us that we make sure. I mean, in these support groups, people are talking about, very, 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 very personal things. And there are some people in the support groups that their safety would be jeopardized if someone knew they belonged. So we take it very seriously, and we will ask you some questions and we will vet you. And then we will place you in the support group that we feel is the closest match for your needs. And
because
that's it.
We have more than one group, you guys.
Yeah, we have multiple groups.
We have multiple groups, and we're getting ready. As Bobby was mentioning, I have an itch. Hold on. Okay. As Bobby mentioned early in the very beginning of the broadcast, we are getting ready to launch a co-ed group, and I was actually supposed to finish setting it up and invite everybody in last night, and it didn't happen. I had some stuff. So the forming of the co-ed group is taking a little longer than I would like for it to. But we are getting ready to launch that co-ed group. And then I have a couple of people that have been emailing just this past week asking about the group that we were going to start for spouses and loved ones of adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And there are many of you that have emailed and messaged us about that. And we're also working on that. I want to just share with you super, super quick, if I can. It's not like I can wave a wand and have it all created and awesome with all of the group description and the rules and the guidelines and invite everybody in and then just poof, it just manages itself. Like, I have to recruit volunteers to come out of the kindness of their heart and the joy of helping others to be moderators in that group, because I am one person who is traveling and speaking and setting up a nonprofit and learning how to do fundraising and managing the website and doing all kinds of stuff. And Bobby is doing the exact same thing, only a whole different skill set. And it's just, it's called 1 Million Survivors for a reason. And that is, there are literally millions of you out there. And so we get emails coming in multitudes, and so much so that we can't even respond to everything personally right now, and we really, really, really want to. And that doesn't even include all the private messages we get in Facebook and all of the YouTube comments and the tweets and the DMs on Twitter and everything. So I appreciate your patience while I'm working to get the co-ed group and the loved ones and spouses group up off the ground and find people to help me volunteer and be moderators, because I'm not just going to willy-nilly hand the groups off to just whoever decides to show up like a warm body. None of the work that Bobby and I do is just a warm body just figuring it all out. It takes a lot of conscientious, focused care and being trauma informed, and I don't think we need to even begin to tell you how much we care. We can't duplicate ourselves and automatically assume that someone else is going to care for every single survivor that comes to us the way that we care for you. So that's why things take a while, and I hope you'll forgive us for not being as quick as you would like us to be. Okay, I'll stop talking now, Bobby.
No, that's okay. People do get frustrated with us sometimes, and we're doing the best we can. We're two people who also work full-time at other jobs. So we're doing our best. And we have a long list of things that we want to do. And we're just kind of gradually getting to each one. And we're very protective of all of you, like Athena said, and we don't want to just start something and turn you over to someone that we don't know they're going to treat you with the same love and care and compassion that we have for you. So we're setting things up. We want them to be of the highest quality possible. And that takes time. Because
you deserve, you deserve the best. You've been through hell, beautiful, and you deserve the best. And I just want to hold your little face, and I just want to tell you that we're going to do the very best we can to find people who are going to give you kind and compassionate and awesome care that you deserve, because you deserve the best. And I just want to clear something up. In some previous videos from about a year ago, I think I did say that this is all I'm doing. I'm devoting my whole life full time to working with survivors, and my life is amazing. Woohoo! Let's wave a magic wand and sprinkle some fairy dust out of some farts that came from unicorns that are farting rainbows over me right now. Okay, I tried doing that. I tried doing only full-time working with survivors for free, because I would literally wake up and do this for free forever if I could. And then my husband started asking me about how I was going to pay my credit card bill from our business, and didn't have an answer for that. So guess what? I'm working now. I'm working, and I'm doing other work on the side. I collaborate with Bobby on a lot of work that's paying work. And I have private clients that I work with that are helping me to continue to do this important work with survivors that I so love to do. So just so that you're not like, but I just watched a video yesterday and it said that this is all you do, So anyway, I just wanted to make sure you knew that that I did try to just do only this, and I sort of got myself into way more debt. I was a little ambitious. So that's why we're launching the nonprofit, which eventually will pay us a salary once we can raise enough money and hold enough events and have enough donations. Like, we would actually be staff members. We have people that we'd probably pay before we paid ourselves, like people that actually raise money. Those are the people that need to be paid. So anyway, I'm rambling. I digress. Bobby, do you have anything you want to say to everybody before we go?
No, just looking forward to next week. We're going to talk about religion and how it's used malignantly to support and further our abuse. I know that's going to be a tough discussion for some people, but we're here to tackle the tough topics. So we'll see you next week to talk about that.
Yeah, I had some tweets come in from some people saying, I don't think I can deal with that topic at all. I don't think that's going to be something I can deal with. And yeah, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful because many people now, their faith is something that's helped get them through their recovery. And so to acknowledge that there was some malignant use of religion and scripture to perpetuate abuse, how do you reconcile the two? It's a little bit crazy making. It's the double bind like there often is. So just tread lightly, handle with care, and just know that we care about you, and we're not going to just leave you without answering your questions. We will answer all the questions you have. So please write them down and tweet them in using #NoMoreShame. And until next week, I am Athena Moberg, and this is Bobby Parrish, and we love bringing you everything you need for healthy, informed trauma recovery. Aloha.